Welcome to the You Go and Get It Girl podcast, a platform engineered to inspire girls and women of all ages to follow in the footsteps of high-achieving women in business, entertainment, and sports. A living reminder that you can't stop a go-getter. Go-getter, noun, defined as an aggressively enterprising person. A go-getter knows they can have any life you want. You can too, but you have to take it. You have to go and get it. We hope to help you do just that. Here is your host, Kurt Richardson.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us to the You Go and Get It Girl podcast. Episode number 1 went live last night or the night before with Jennifer Justice. It's over 1,000 views, so I appreciate all of you for that. Please like and subscribe if these are adding value to you, and be sure to, I would recommend every one of you to follow her. I mean, she drops bombs on the interview, but her whole life is just women's equality. She walked away from Jay-Z's Rock Nation. She had the life. She's Beyonce's attorney, and she walked away for you all. So I would love for you guys to connect with her. Today, we have another superstar who has a great story. And when I started deciding I was going to do this, her name kept coming up. And then as I meet her, it makes sense because her whole life is this way. She has one of the coolest hiring stories. But I just learned they call her Miss Lowe, but I'm going to call her Lauren. Is it Askevold?
Askevold, yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. She was one of Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, I guess the kids are calling him now. One of his first hires. It was important to him to have women around. First female intern, or her and her one of her friends who we're also going to have on here. One of her colleagues, first female interns with the Milwaukee Bucks. Worked at a prestigious spot like IMG, and just overall badass. Miss Lowe, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity.
Both of our schedules are going crazy, and we made it work.
It is crazy. Yeah. You know, I just finished fall camp. We're kicking off this week. It's been a crazy week. We've had rain nonstop. So we've been in the gym. You know, we're not super fancy, so we don't have an outdoor, or inside or indoor facility. So we've been on the gym floor the last 4 days. Today was our first day outside, being able to actually execute, game plan for FAMU. But yeah, so we're getting ready. We leave a week from today for FAMU for our game in Miami.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's
going down to Florida because that's when we were originally going to do it. And you're like, wait, I got stuff that week.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a couple of things I want to chat about. We'll chat about all the stuff we normally talk about, but I think you have a unique perspective on a couple of things that we'll get to. I would like to start with just me sharing with everyone how I came to meet you, which is after Kobe Bryant died, I knew I wanted to do this. I started talking to people about it. Because of my work in the NFL and NCAA, I meet all these people. And as we've talked about, a girl one day said, "Hey, Kurt, you don't know what it's like being a girl." And even as a girl dad, I'm like card-carrying girl dad before Kobe died, I realized, oh man, I've met all these women that have all this IP on how to do it, how to be a high-achieving woman, and I need to interview them. And so when I would talk to people about it, your name kept coming up as we talked about. And I'm like, okay, noted it, wrote it down, all right. Then as we started finalizing our list, I'm sitting in Atlanta, somebody overhears me telling this story, and they're like, "Hey, you got to get her on." And so I'm like, all right, I reached back out. And it might have been a plant. I might have been set up because there were some Jackson State people in the building that day.
We sent 4 of our girls, Coach Prime actually paid full trips to send them down to that. It was a business symposium, wasn't it?
Black Sports Expo. Yeah, he was a hit. Everyone loved him, obviously.
Yeah.
But this girl sitting next to me just casually was like, "You should have Lauren Askevold on." And then when I meet you, you tell me you got this crazy story, which I do know a little bit about. But tell people, how did you get hired at Jackson State? And then we'll work backwards from there because I love this.
Yeah, actually a crazy story. So I was just coming off the XFL. COVID had just hit. I was in the XFL with the Tampa Bay Vipers. Had sit out, finally, I was like, I can't miss any football, so, high school football starting back up in the fall, got to work high school football at a local high school, Go Bulls of Bloomingdale in Tampa, Florida. Right. And I get a call there's a tweet out one day and I'm like getting tagged. I get a bunch of notifications on my phone that Nicole Lynn, actually, she's now the director of football operations, I believe, for Clutch Sports, huge agency. At the time, she was with Young Money. So another huge badass female in the sports world. She had tweeted out, any female athletic trainers interested at working in Division I football program, please, send me your resume. So I didn't actually see the tweet. I'm getting ready to go to the high school for practice, and I'm getting all these notifications, all these people tagging me in it, because everybody around me knew my goal was to work big Division I football. Like that's my like end goal. I want to work big FBS Power 5, right? So I'm getting all these notifications, and so she actually DMs me, and she's like, like, would you mind sending me your resume? Your name has been tagged in this, a bunch of times. So I sent her my resume. She's like, great, thanks. Like, I'll get back to you. And so that was on Monday, I think. And I don't hear anything. Thursday comes around, and I'm like, all right, I didn't even ask any questions. Like, what school is it for? Who is it for? I just was like, all right, here's my resume. Godspeed. You know what I mean? I didn't think anything was going to come of it. It's on Twitter too. And so I'm like, all right. So Thursday comes along, and all of a sudden I get a phone call, and I'm like, and he's like, is this Lauren? And I can tell him on speakerphone. And I'm like, I'm like, who's this? And he's like, this Coach Prime. And I go, I wish I could see my face at the time. So I'm like, Deion Sanders? And he's like, what other Coach Prime do you know? I'm like, okay, you're correct. Yes, sir. And he'll tell you to this day. I mean, he tells everybody about our interview, or my interview, all the time. My interview was less. He's like, give me a little bit about your background. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me your philosophy with athletic training. And I think what really got him is I'm a little old school too. I mean, I'm younger in the field, but like little old school mentality. I know what the body can take. I know what the body can handle. And I said, Coach, listen, like there's no bone or blood. Your ass is probably staying on the field. And he was like, done, it's over with. My interview was literally 2 minutes long. And he said, you're coming to work for me. I said, where are we going? He's like, you know where we're going? I'm like, no. He's like, we're going to Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. And I said, oh my gosh. I'm living in Tampa, Florida. Like I love Florida. And I'm like, okay, I'm originally from Wisconsin. So like Florida was where it just, paradise to me. So yeah. And then, so that happened on, I think it was like December 14th. And then I was in Jackson, Mississippi by January 4th, move-in day.
That is incredible.
And I've been with them ever since.
Now, Tampa's one of our cities. In fact, I don't know when people will see this, but about a week ago, I was at the West Shore Mall, all those restaurants outside, having a couple soda pops myself. I love Tampa, the river area.
Yeah, I love it.
That's incredible. So I want to unpack two things for the gals and guys that will listen to this. One is, all right, if I'm hearing this correct, like, hey, XFL goes away. That's not part of your plan. You thought you were going to be back there.
Yeah.
But what's great about, I'm less religious and more spiritual. I'm really just more about just be a good person. And so much good stuff happens. I only know you because of your brand, and you got that message because of that brand, people tagging you. So I just want people to know, especially women, carrying yourself. Sometimes there's the urge to cut corners, or there's the urge to settle. Just live your life at a high standard, and you'd be surprised what's happening for people. I had two initial and then one in Atlanta. People mentioned you. And then it's cool that the first thing you and I ever talked about was like this, like, oh yeah, this is kind of what happens in my life.
It was just kind of like, everyone's like, oh, it must have been like really cool. But it's actually kind of crazy that me and Coach Prime had never met previously to that, because, I worked at IMG, they were recruiting his son. When we actually started, the day I got there to like just meet everybody, he called me in his office, we sat down, we talked a little bit, and just the amount of people, we know, mutual people we know. It was crazy that we never actually met before him calling me. Like, I mean, he knew all the boys. I have 24. I mean, shit. I might have 20, almost 30 guys that I've worked with now that are in the league. And that doesn't, because when I was at IMG, like all those kids now are either they're probably seniors in college or in the league already. And then that doesn't even mention half the guys from we at IMG, we did NFL Combine. So I was in charge, or I helped out with, one year I was actually in charge of it, NFL Combine, and just like all the other athletes I've gotten to work with who we all knew similar people. It was actually really wild. Just like common people too. Like, I don't know, my network is, I guess, about not as large as his. Now, thank God he's in my network now, but we knew very similar people that I was like, how did we never, kind of cross paths or, meet in that aspect, especially being in the athletic world. So, but yeah, no, it's a whirlwind. And you kind of mentioned like that never settle, don't ever settle. And that's one of my mentors. Like I have a bracelet and I wear it every day that says never settle. And that was like my motto from going from college when I met my mentor all the way up until now, is like, there's no obstacles like I can't get through type of thing, and especially being a female in sports, you get the negative side, you get the out, And that's one thing I had to learn too, is like being in the spotlight now and being with coach like Coach Prime, is that we are like under a microscope. We are in the spotlight now. Like it's crazy. Like I never had expected anything like this. So he just today, it was actually really funny. This is a really funny story to add to this. He adds, you know, like we have our documentary and whatnot is going on, but he just told us, he said, bring all, I can't believe I'm saying this, and he doesn't mean any harm by it. This is just how Coach Prime is. Everything that you guys see is what you get. Like he does not sugarcoat anything. Like he is the real deal. And that's what we all respect about him though, is that we know what we're getting with him. And he calls all the white people in today, the white coaches, the white staff, the white players. And he says to all of us, and he says, look, this is the first time y'all are the minority. Like you guys are in the HBCU setting. You are the minority probably for the first time in your life ever. And he's like, I want it to be documented in a video of how all you guys feel being here and like what's been positive, what's been negative. Would you want, like, can you help us get, you know, other Caucasian, you know, Latino people here? He's like, you guys are my voice. You guys are my advocate to help me do that. And me, I'm like the double whammy, right? I'm the Caucasian plus the female in this sport. And, you know, and the first question, Neely, shout out to Neely. He's one of our big guys. He's on the pregame show. He's one of our like guys who's always around with his phone and stuff. And, you know, one of his questions was like, you know, how has your experience been? Have you ever felt like an outcast? And my answer was no. Like, I've never felt uncomfortable. I've never felt minority, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the environment coach, you know, provides for us is very comfortable. We're allowed to be ourselves. We're allowed, you know, like he makes everybody feel as a team, and he makes it known that, hey, look, you're not just the athletic trainer. Like you're part of our team, you know, like you're not just the punter, you're a football player type of thing, you know? So he does a really good job. And like, that was just something I'm like, oh, this is perfect to talk about today when you were, you know, with this interview and stuff, and him being like, what is your experience like being a white female in an HBCU setting? So
well, he and I must be in sync, because one of the last questions I was going to ask, but it transitions into this and you've already answered, so I don't want to spin the wheels out of it. I was wondering, for your role, being white and being a female, that can be tricky, and you've assimilated great into it. You know, yeah. The stuff that people sent me early on and God, you know, God bless you. You're just living your life, right? And like, but people are, like you said, the spotlight, people are watching stuff. And so the clips I've seen, or when I've got your Instagram, I'm looking, I see you around young Black girls, and I'm like, oh, this is, and I can just tell the experience. I can see the way people look up to you. And I was going to note on that, you're a double minority. You're in the HBCU culture, which is a culture inside itself. You're inside of athletics, which is a culture inside itself. And then obviously, you know, Black players, most of us come from, like, I grew up in the projects, and I had to assimilate in the business, and that was unusual. And so you've had that experience of doing the verse. Is there anything that you did, even if it wasn't uncomfortable, was there something you learned about the POV of other people that maybe you didn't bring into it? But you've been around, I say this the same way you're saying, I just talk the way I talk. You've been around Black folks a long time. Like, you know.
Yeah, like, I don't know. There's really not, and maybe you know, when I work at IMG, I always got, from my like higher ups and my bosses, I always got the compliment of, look, like you just, like, you can just kind of form to where you're at, you know, like you don't force it, you don't anything, you know, like people just kind of gravitate, and however you are, like it works for you. Like people do gravitate toward you. People, it's like they trust you right away. You're not forcing it. People, it's just natural. And so, I mean, I don't know, it's a blessing, I guess. I say every day I get blessed. I got blessed with energy too. I mean, like I get up at 4:30 every morning, and I bring it. Yeah, I bring it every day. By 2 o'clock though, you got to leave me alone because I'm usually pretty tired. No, but I don't know if it's an aura. I don't know what it is. Like I've never really been uncomfortable, because I come from small, and not that it has to do, you know, like demographics or whatever, but I come from small town where I knew everybody in Wisconsin. Like I don't even think I'm considered a town. I think it's a village where I'm from. And so like, and then I went to school in Milwaukee. So it was a little bit of a culture shock for me. But as soon as I got there, it didn't really, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, you know, not like where some kind of like movie type thing that you see. But, and then from there, like you said, I've just been kind of around athletics. And so you're around a diverse group of people. And so it just kind of, I guess I just kind of fit in, kind of where see, you know, like I don't ever have to like stress about it. I'm still nervous coming down here because, like I said, like you just said, the HBCU culture in itself is like one, and I didn't know what to expect. I was just, but I'm learning a lot about the culture. Like this is fun as hell. Like this is.
And you're at the epicenter. There's really only one or two other places that would have been more HBCU-ish than where you are, especially in the scenario right now. The larger scale, though, of athletic training. So here's what's interesting. I didn't know this, so I started researching this. And actually, you recommended me. Thank you to someone who's going to be on here. And then, we have another gal that's going to be on. My athletic experience was women athletic trainers, but I never realized they were never the head. Even at Michigan State, we have a legend, Sally. I don't know if you know her, but she just now became the head. Like she's been there 3 decades, and she just became that top person. When you're deciding on this career, do you know that, like, hey, by the way, you can go this far, and then it's going to be men leading you the rest of the way for most people's experience? Did you even know that, or are you thinking, that's cool, but I'm gonna break through that? Yeah,
that's kind of my mindset. Like everyone has a different path, obviously, you know what I mean? I've been really blessed with like the path I've been in, right? Like I broke the female intern with the Bucks, and then I was the first female football trainer at IMG, type of thing. And then like then I was I got into the AAF, and then I went to the XFL. I was a head assistant in the XFL with Tampa Bay. And then now I'm the first female football athletic trainer under Coach Prime. So yeah, it's kind of like just each time it's like you said, never settle, kind of breaking that barrier. We do know like it is uncommon for females to be the head trainer at a school. Like here, I wasn't the head trainer when I got here. I was just the head of football. But how Coach Prime runs his program, he runs it so kind of like, it's like anywhere, I guess you go. Like the football program is so offset from all the other sports type of thing. And so I really am kind of, he calls me the head trainer. I mean, like I am for football. I don't ever see the other athletic trainers, which is, the disadvantage to me because I can't bounce ideas off other people and whatnot. Like coming from IMG, I'm used to working with 15 other athletic trainers where we were all in the same room and we could all bounce ideas off each other. Here, I don't know if you guys know, I'm 1 to 120 athletes. So it's like, plus I got other sports coming to me, asking me questions and whatnot. I have a good relationship with all the coaches here, so it's awesome. Jackson State is just a really good environment, honestly. So it's, we kind of know that though. Like right now, I am, I guess, the head of football, so, but I don't know. It's a lot to take on, like being the head athletic trainer of a school and being like football too, then you usually have like a football, like 1, 2, 3 underneath you. I don't have that. So like, I'm just really focused on football. I don't really have, I do my own admin and stuff on the football side, but I don't have that full admin and stuff for the whole school type of thing. Like I deal with the insurance company we deal with, I file the claims and whatnot and blah, 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 admin side for my sport, but I don't really have it for the whole school. So I can't really speak on being that, like say I'm the head of Jackson State, right? Right now, actually though, I'm the only athletic trainer we have. So if any of y'all looking for a job, let me know. Putting that out there. I need athletic trainers at Jackson State. But yeah, we are at a disadvantage when it comes to head athletic trainers at school.
Well, that's interesting that you segued to that. Obviously, so this will get seen. I think you're like episode 5 or 6. So this will be in later in the fall. But I do want, part of the reason for this is there are so many women like you, Lo, that are kicking ass everywhere. And they're just, most of them aren't going to get spotlighted. And so what I think is good about this is somebody knocks on your door and wants to be that next person. What are the things that you look for? Like, a young gal hears this and she wants to make her best impression on Lo, because you have to balance, you especially because of Sanders and the documentary and stuff, there's going to be some people who aren't in it for football or aren't in it for the boys. Like, how do you manage that? Because even when I was reaching out to you, I'm like, man, can they even do this right now because of the documentary? I know you've got to be safe on all that stuff. What are the impressions when you're sorting through the girls that are going to come under your wing? Like, what do you look for?
Oh, I wish they were here right now because they would be like, she is awful. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I make sure they all have similar qualities to what, like, I know is going to happen, right? Like, you got to be built different 100% to be an athletic trainer, like, and to work the sport. And like, you got to remember, I have students that I don't even have an athletic training program here. So everything that they know is just me teaching them because I need help and they're willing to do it. You got to have energy. You got to be able to work through the grit. I tell them every time, I'm like, look, I know y'all doing water and ice and practice setup every day, but like, I've been in your shoes. So I get it. Like, I 100% get it. I was I was even that in the XFL. Like I was the head assistant, but I was still doing water and ice every day, you know, setting up the field. Like it is what it is. Like it just comes with the profession. So I try to teach them every day, like, and no job is like, you know, too big, right? Like too small. I go out and help them if I need to too. You know, like I show them that like, look, I'm still learning. I'm still in your guys' shoes. Like I will get down like how you guys need to get down as far as like as an athletic training student. Like you got to start small, but it's going to get you to where you need to be. So I really look for like, look, are they even really committed to this? Are they going to be able to do it? Because we have a try, like we basically have like a 2 to 3 day tryout. Like you have to show up. I mean, they know they're there at 5:45 every morning. And if they are a minute late, I'm probably calling or texting and be like, where are you at? And they know to let me know if they're going to be late beforehand. Like not that it's like a fear instilled in them, but they know my expectations and they know that, no, if we're going to be late, Miss Lowe's she's going to flip out. Even the new girls, you know, I have like 5 or 6 new girls and you know, we call them the vets. The vets like, no, go ask JLo about her being late so many times. That's what Miss Lowe did. Miss Lowe kicked her out for the whole season. Like I almost didn't let a girl back because it was consistently late. Right. And like, but they don't understand, like it comes from my boss too, like Coach Prime. He holds me to a higher expectation. So I have to hold them to the expectation too. And I make sure that they know that. I said, he looks at everything. He notices when one of my girls isn't there. Like this is how like visual he is too. So I make sure they're on time. And if they're not on time, he probably notices. Or if he notices they're not on the field, he's going to, you know, I'm going to notice, but he's going to notice as well, type of thing. So the pressure comes from him too. But, you know, just making sure they have the grit, their schedule works out with it, making sure this is what they really want. Because I will never forget, even though we don't have a program, if this is something that they want to do and get the experience for, you know, their next step, either getting their mat, you know, going to an athletic training program or a physical therapy route, right? They have to make sure this is an introduction to see if this is what they really need to do. And they need to love it. They need to love everything they do. You know, like I'll never forget Becky Warman. She was one of my first athletic training professors. And she said, look, y'all can't be in here for the money because you're not going to make it, which we don't make shit. Sorry, she's my friend. We don't make shit, right? So you have to love what you do, because if you do not love what you do, you'll never make it a day in this career. So I make sure they love what to do. You know, you also got to show them love and stuff as well, as far as I had to teach them things, you know what I mean, to keep them too. Like they want to learn how to tape. Everybody always wants to learn how to tape. So you know what? We worked all summer on taping. Everybody learned how to tape. They can tape. My girls, they have to pass the test to tape, right? They can tape ankles. They can tape wrists. They can tape fingers. They know all first aid. You know, I'm getting them now CPR certified. So it's really the ones that know, like show me what they're going to give me. I give back to them to know that, okay, look, like if y'all are going to give it to me, I'm going to help y'all back, type of thing. So yeah, I got really lucky. I have 11 girls that work under me, and I even have a boy who's crazy enough. His name is Deion. It's absolutely insane. So, but he was named actually after Deion Sanders. So it's actually a very funny story. So, but I mean, they give it to me every day. I would be absolutely lost without my athletic training students. Like they are everything and more that I need. And they come every day ready to work.
I love it. So we had one of the ladies we interviewed, her name is Lily Kaplan, and she is actually up for 7 Emmys right now.
Oh my gosh.
At Imagine Entertainment. Badass.
Yeah.
And young too.
Yeah, she makes me
just the definition of a go-getter. But when she told her story, she literally focused the whole thing on like being in the mailroom and not dumping on it. Like she didn't want to reduce that job. She's like, I learned everything about the business being in there. And when I hear your story, that's the same thing. I think like, don't be too good to get the ice. All right, 5:45. Why is a little crazy about that? Well, it teaches you to be committed. It teaches you to be because our strength and conditioning coach from Michigan State, Ken Manny, legend. He just recently retired, but he would always say, hey man, that 5 o'clock lift gets you living right. Like when you know you got to be in here and we're running 300s, 13 of them at 5 o'clock, you know, you got to shut it down pretty early, you know. So
I tell them, I'm like, look, like I know this isn't a job. Some of them get paid for it as far as like I forgot what it's called. Anyways, they get paid like student work or something. They can kind of get
work study.
Yeah, working through like athletics with me. But I'm telling them, I'm like, look, y'all, if y'all late 3 times in a week, like if I'm late 3 times in a week, Coach Prime's gonna know that, and I'm fine. I'm gone. I will be gone. Like. So y'all can't take offense to it if you're late 3 times and I'm like, look, this is probably not going to work out. Like, let's just be like, you got one more shot. You got like, I have 2 girls with me right now who will tell you like, they had to beg to come back because I was over it. I don't tolerate it because I know, his, Coach Prime's whole theory or whole like mindset too is our word of the week is consistency. Like I need consistency from everybody in order to make this train, run. Like I need everybody here. I need like, your job isn't just small to get the ice and water ready. And I make sure the boys even know. Like I'm like, boys, like y'all boys would not be able to function like without.
Especially in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh my gosh! First of all, we can't even drink the water right now, so it's a nightmare even trying to figure that out situation. We might be able to drink the water in Jackson, Mississippi, like once a year, like 1 month out of the year. So like we had to get like a special filter on our ice machine. We had to get, we have jugs of water. We have to do. My girls are hustling with those jugs, running across the field with 5-gallon jugs. Like I mean, like I had to look for tough girls too, because I make some of them like. I lift 4 days a week. I make some of them lift with me. Like we're a whole family here. We everybody puts in the work to make this thing work. So
I think that's so cool. So you did two things that are interesting. You worked at IMG, one of the probably the most elite, maybe Mater Day, one of the most elite programs, period. Yeah. I think you have, when I realized I was going to ask this question, I'm trying to think. I think you might have the most alpha person as a boss of all time, good looking dude who was better than everybody at sports and got rich. Like that's a lot and had a hit single. You've been around people with like, and not to say he has an ego, but I'm saying you've been around these high achievers, and sometimes that's difficult for women to learn how to work through. And I can tell you love it. Yeah. What are the things that help you do that? I mean, you mentioned thick skin. Like if someone doesn't see things the way you see them and it's their final call, how do you process that? How do you live with that?
Yeah, that's working for Coach Prime. Like at the end of the day, like it's his call. Like he's, you know what I mean? Like, hey, look, I need this kid to get a physical tomorrow, not Friday. Okay, yes, sir. All right, we figure it out. Type of thing. Like it's really it's adapting, right? It's adapting to your environment, adapting to who you work at. You got to learn the people around you. And you've got to learn your head coach, like, and the coaches around you. Like they all know how I work now. They all call me. I got a nickname at IMG. I'm the Spaz. But like, it's working. It's like working with. Like Coach Prime, he's trying to do something. He's trying to make a movement, right? And he's trying to go forward and he's trying to advocate for all HBCUs and create this great movement, right? And so I'm bought in. I'm bought in with him just as well. So like I just had to adapt to like, okay, he wants this right now, or this kid's got to get cleared right now, or this kid's got to go right now. Like, and it is what it is type of thing, like you just make it happen. And I think having like, I work with a lot of people who have no patience, which now has made me have no patience. And so, but I know how to work with him as far as like, once you learn him and like, it took me a season or two. Like, we had that, thank God for that fall or that spring season of 2021. That was kind of like a makeup from COVID that really, and that was my first time coming into a Division I college program. So I had to learn the in and outs and then learning on top of that, learning him, like it was a lot. But as soon as I figured him out, I'm like, okay, it's easy. Like now I just have to apply it, It was, we've had a tough road here too with Coach Prime as far as like his health and whatnot. I think that brought us really close. I was there like every step of the way from just when his foot started hurting, just from a normal NFL injury to like where he's at now, actually walking again. I think that put in a lot of perspective, and he got to even see like my, like how much I put into it and how much I was there. And, I think he saw my responsibilities. Cause I mean, like how I was cleaning his wounds. I was doing his medications, like he really saw, like I was bought in, like, hey, look, I'm going to take care of anything we need to take care of. So I think that it was like a blessing in disguise too, for me as in part of my career here as well, because I was there through it all type of thing. So, you got to stay on your toes. He keeps you on your toes. Like if you get screamed at in front of everyone, it is what it is. You move on and it's like, all right, let me go figure out how to solve this issue that he has.
That's one of the main things I really hope people take away from this. One of the things that changed my life, it literally is like a multi-million-dollar difference decision, is when I was young in business, somebody said, hey, I need you to go get this coffee. And I knew everyone was looking at me like, look at this slap, like he's going to go do it. But for me, I was able to just minimize my ego, and it's changed my entire life, that interaction. Because all the younger dudes, there was only a handful of us that were young and black at this company that I was at. And this guy in passing said it. And I was like, whatever, I'll just go get the coffee. Because I felt good about myself. I wasn't going to do that. Yeah. But I can't tell you how many times I think about that decision. Like, just go do the thing. Yeah. And you got to feel good enough about yourself. And what you just said, I love. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to, especially the more you're around high achievers. Everybody wants that job. The people want to work for Gates. They want to work for Coach Sanders. They want to work for Belichick.
Yeah.
You better be able to deal with those down moments.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because when I was an intern with the Bucks, and gosh, Callie could probably vouch for me when you interview her. She could probably vouch for you or vouch for me for this. They were like putting us through the ringer. I mean, like Callie was kind of like, she had already been kind of starting work for them before the season had started because she worked for the Bucks. Like she worked in like the entertainment kind of thing. I don't even know what you call it, but like crowd. She was with the crowd, you know, entertainment, whatever. And so she had already kind of got, you know, her foot in the door. And then that's another crazy story. I got my internship with them because I bartended at a yacht club, and the head coach at the time was a member at the yacht club. Anyways, he brought the athletic trainer there and blah, blah, blah. Nice whole story kicked off there. But I remember calling my dad one day. They had me run, I'll never forget it. They had me run to 12. We had just got traded, or we just had the NBA trade weekend, and JJ Redick got traded to us. And they made me go to 12 freaking Walgreens just to find this like topical cream that JJ Redick wanted. And I was so mad. I was like, why are they doing this? Like, why are they putting me through the ringer? Like, what is this little job? But my dad's like, I'm like, Dad, I can't do this. Like, I just can't do this. And I remember him, you know, my dad's a tough guy, like him and Coach Prime. I think maybe that's where I get it too. Like Coach Prime and him are very similar in their expectations, and like when something needs to get done, it better get done now type of thing. And so I was kind of ready for that as well with working with Coach. But I remember calling my dad and like, I'm done with this internship. I'm not doing it. Like I can't do it. And he said, stick it out. Just watch. They're trying to teach you a lesson. They're trying to see if they can trust you and rely on you to do something, a simple task, even though it might drive you nuts. And sure as shit, he was right. Like I said, why did you guys, like, I'll never forget it. Scott Barthelama and Mark Boff. I'll be like, why did y'all do that? Like, why was I going to get lottery tickets in the middle of a game? Like, why was I doing this stuff? And they were like, look, we knew that you were bought in, you were going to work, and you were going to work for it. I'm like, that had nothing to do with athletic training. And they said, but it told us a lot about your character. And they said that we knew you were going to do it. And, you know, after that, me and Callie were on the, you know, we might've been on the court stretching guys pregame, or, okay, you know what? You can tape them today. You know what I mean? And so like, right. I'm like, okay, once I gained their trust, it was awesome after that, you know, type of thing. So that's like a very similar story. Like I had to do the grunt work just to get to where I wanted to go.
And that's a part of the problem that society has now, especially with social media and access to seeing how people live. People want to live the last 24 months of Miss Lowe's life. They don't want to live the first like 8 years of your career. You know, it wasn't
pretty getting here. Like I had to do, like I said, I went to high schools after the AAF folded. I was at a high school, most humbling experience I ever had. I was in a high school in like the hood, and like those kids changed my life. Like to this day, like, I mean, I keep in touch with all those kids. Like they changed my life. And so like, I mean, and I was working with, we had to carry the water out to practice, like gallon, like the big Gatorade jugs. Like, I mean, we were working, and I had kids there too, though, that like I said, just kind of gravitated and said, hey, we want to do this with you. Like, can we help you type of thing? So I've been blessed to have help wherever I've been, at least. If, you know, I can't have another athletic trainer with me, I have people who will help me.
I love it. Well, I think people are going to love your story. Your energy, the low energy is real. I can feel it, and I'm excited for you guys. I want to end you on this. In sports, if you're an athlete, the best ability is availability. And so in your life now, availability is a big key of what you get to do. But at some point, maybe Mrs. Lowe's looking for Mr. Lowe. Sport takes a lot away from you. Have you given consideration to how you're going to balance that out? Like, I know you're on a rocket ship and you're going to be somewhere big in the next couple years.
It's funny you ask that, because I get asked that question probably every day.
Yeah.
Like, literally every day. And you know who I get asked by it the most is Shiloh.
I can guarantee you. I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay.
If you see this, Shiloh, you're the worst. No, I'm kidding. It is funny because everyone does say, like, how do you, like, can you get a family? You know, like, I am single, but I am, like, my thought process is, like, I'm 33, like, but I'm not where I want to be yet. Like, I've accomplished a lot. I've gotten a lot done, and I'm making those breakthroughs. I've never thought, like, when you were like, your name's been mentioned a bunch of times, I would have never thought in a million years my name has been mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just Lauren. Like, I don't know. Like, I've done some cool shit, but it's like, I'm just, at the end of the day, I am just regular ass Lauren. So, but yeah, I don't know. I guess when that time comes, I also work in the male environment, so I see a lot. I understand a lot. I see the, you know, we all know that. I'm sorry. Like, we all get it. Like, so you see, and you like get it. but I don't know if I'll ever be able to balance that out. I mean, I've seen other athletic trainers do it, get a family, but they've had to back away from the athletic training world because it is what it is. Like we work long days, the pay's not that great. You got, like we said before, you got to love what you do in order to stay in this field. So yeah, I don't know if the Mr. Low will ever happen, but.
Well, I love it. I think it's so great. I'm a kid from the neighborhood, and when I'm researching and thinking about talking to you, it brings back so many memories. I'm 42, so that's 20 some years ago, but man, the athletic trainers took such good care of us, the bonds, and you think about, like, I look at like someone like Sally, who's been somewhere 33 years, the amount that she's secretly poured into people, the amount you have secretly poured into people. And that's why the people we talked about off camera that we know, and they care about you still, and you care about them. So we're so grateful for it. What I always like to remind people of this is what's great about it. The go-getter story is so obvious. It's just that you have to be a participant in your success. It doesn't always feel like, oh, I'm carrying this water, and then one day I'm going to be on a television show, or / one day I know for sure at some point soon, Lowe's going to have a decision to make on what to do with coach and the crew in Jackson, Mississippi. And that'll be a great moment. It'll be bittersweet, but it just is what it is. And this is a business, and you're in business, and you got to do the next best thing. And I know you'll have blessings, all that, but I just want people to remember, like, you got to go and do it. You've got to suffer through the part of the being at the Bucks to be low now. You got to go through the XFL and COVID. You think you have a job, and by the way, COVID comes, your whole job goes away.
I was part of 2 football leagues that completely failed.
Yeah. And so I just want women to know, like, when you feel in these low moments, or young girls, and it's like, wow, I was so sure I was going to do that, just keep plugging along. Like she just said, with the idea of never settle. I love it. One of our buddies in common, he was the first Black sports scientist in the NFL.
Woods, baby. Shout out to Woods.
And then boom, his job, coach gets fired. And you want a lot of people that are watching this, I know, want to work in sports. The job goes away a lot of times, and you got to have that resiliency that you so clearly have, and then be able to be enthusiastic when you're at that bottom part, when you're at that high school, when you're getting the word that the XFL is going away. And I can't wait for you to get the high notes here when someone makes that call and is like, hey, Lo,
that was great.
Somewhere to compete for a championship.
If you would have asked me 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I'd be working for Deion Sanders, I would have told you or living in Jackson, Mississippi at that, I would have told you you're crazy. You're absolutely insane.
I love it.
But it's been
we appreciate you, ladies, fellas, gentlemen, girl dads, daughters, moms, stepmoms, stepdads, whoever's watching this. We'd love you to hit like and subscribe. Lauren's Instagram will be in this, so a bunch of strangers will start following you, is one thing that we know happens. But what I'd love for people to do is just remember that, like, Lauren did this. Like, she's had great help, and you have mentors, but you did this. And I just think it's great. And the recipe's so clear: energy, enthusiasm, and grit. And we're seeing that over and over. So thank you for spending time with me as we both get ready to go live crazy 6 o'clock hours today.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you.